So in this video, we're going to describe the differences between trade creation and trade diversion. We're going to look over the welfare effects as well as how the prices change, quantities change, and we're going to draw a graph and all that. So let's get started. So trade creation from trade blocks and efficiency. Let's look at what actually happens. So in front of you see a graph, and we're going to explain what this graph means bit by bit. Okay, so first of all, high cost domestic production and imports with tariffs is replaced by more efficiently produced imports from within the trade bloc. That sounds good. It is good. Let's explain what this means. So we have Q being the old quantity right here, and we have P being the old price. So this is before the country joined the trade bloc, and they had to pay tariffs and all of that. So here, if we look at B and D, this is deadweight loss with the tariff, because importers have to pay a tariff because that's just the law. They're not in the trade bloc yet. And so you can understand P1 as the price without tariffs, and without a government intervention, this is maximum efficiency. So B and D really, it used to be consumer surplus, right? But now, because we're moving up to P, we lose B and D. We keep C, right? We keep C. C is going to be the tariff revenue. Tariff revenue. This is what the government gets. And A, which used to be consumer surplus, right? So consumer surplus used to be this triangle right here, right? That used to be consumer surplus. But A now becomes producer surplus. So from a welfare perspective, A is a net zero effect. Nothing really changes. C becomes revenue. And B and D is deadweight loss, okay? And so if all of a sudden a trade bloc is created and we get rid of the tariff, because that's what trade blocs do, then we go back to a situation without this line, right? So we go to a situation where this triangle is now consumer surplus again, and right here this triangle is producer surplus. There's no tariff revenue, but there's also no deadweight loss now. So this is more efficient. Quantity 1 is the new quantity, right? This is the new trade quantity at a price of P1. A is the decrease in producer surplus when the tariff is removed. A, B, C, D is the additional consumer surplus from entering the trade bloc. So yay, that is good. So 7 is QA minus QB. So right here, QA minus QB. And then Q1 minus Q. This is the additional trade from entering the trade bloc. Because we know the old amount of trade, right, old, used to be this amount. The new amount of trade is now this amount, new. Okay, and so the difference is clear, right? This is the difference. So that's trade creation. Trade creation is concerned with countries' imports becoming cheaper and welfare increasing for the economy. B plus D is that gain in welfare that I just talked about. And this came as a result of trade creation because now there are no more tariffs. So let's look at trade diversion from trade blocs and the efficiency associated with that. And so we've got domestic demand, domestic supply, you know that. But then there are a few things here. So let's define what trade diversion is first. So trade with a low-cost country outside a trade bloc is replaced by a higher cost product that's supplied from within the trade bloc. So what does that mean? So originally we operated at Q, okay, right here, Q, and we're working with this supply of country outside the trade bloc with tariff. And in this situation, we can actually just ignore P1 for now because this is about the member country. We're just concerned with P and P2. So in this situation, our consumer surplus is right here, right? This is our consumer surplus. Our producer surplus is right here. Okay, this is our producer surplus. Now, because we're trading with another country and we've imposed import tariffs, there is tariff revenue. So right here, C plus E is tariff revenue. And I'm just going to color in the deadweight loss. It's going to be these two triangles over here, okay? And so the original tariff revenue is C plus E. The trade block price now, though, is P1. So let's pretend we enter the trade block. Let me erase this. So when we enter the trade block, we are no longer trading with the outside country with tariffs. We are trading with a member country. And so let me erase all of this. So now that we're trading with the member country, consumer surplus is right here. Okay, it includes A, B, C, D. Producer surplus is right here. Okay, and so what do we gain and what do we lose? Well, this amount used to be a part of the old deadweight loss, right? And I'm just going to put that over here. Old deadweight loss, right? Now it's surplus. Okay, now CS. So we've gained that amount of welfare, right? But also notice this part. What did this used to be? This is old revenue. Now C is now consumer surplus. E is lost. Okay, it's lost. So what's the net gain? What's the net gain? Well, the net gain is going to be the difference between B and D minus E. And so E might be bigger than B and D, and if that's the case, then there actually is a net loss, and it's not good for the welfare of the economy. And so gain in consumer surplus in this situation is still going to be A, B, C, D. Right, A, B, C, D, all of this. The loss in producer surplus is going to be A. But this loss in producer surplus is, again, it's replaced by consumer surplus. So the two really, they cancel out. We lose tariff revenue, right? We lose tariff revenue. That's no longer something that the government receives. But this also cancels out, right? C's cancel out because C becomes a part of the consumer surplus. So part of the old deadweight loss, B and D, is now consumer surplus. And the country would be worse off if the tariff revenue, which is E, is bigger than the gain in consumer surplus, B and D. Okay. Now, the country is definitely worse off from a welfare perspective if trade tariffs didn't exist in the first place and the original price was P2. I hope that you understand the welfare changes as well as what's good and what's bad. You want to use that information to tell us what's good or bad on an essay, and make sure if you're doing a essay question on trade diversion or trade creation, do draw these graphs and explain them and analyze them. Show these steps that I've just shown you. That's going to get you some marks, okay?